Hello, and welcome to Weed and Grub.
Two plugs up top, one of which ties into a very embarrassing tale I have to tell you about, Mary Jane. But the first plug, the day after this releases, Thursday, January 25th, 8 p.m., Glazer's After Party at the Comedy Store, headlined by Neil Brennan. I'm so excited. New time slot, same energy. I really want to sell this baby out and kind of plant a bit of a Glazer flag at the Comedy Store. So it's a really big opportunity. So if you know anyone in LA or you live in LA, please come. Buy tickets to my show at the Comedy Store Thursday, 8 p.m. Secondly, here at Petty Cash Studios, we're doing a new material show that following Sunday. I think that's the 28th. Tickets are $5. You can smoke inside. We'll use the scent air so it smells like sugar cookies instead of weed, or a mix of sugar cookies and weed. All new material. There's nowhere else to do new material here in LA, so we've got to start one. If you build it, they will come. So if you're looking for shows or you know someone looking for shows, please come out and support.
And what's that show called?
Bombs Away. Because there will be bombs.
Yes.
But hopefully they go away.
I really thought that was just such a great title for that show.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats. I'm excited for both of those shows for you. Fucking fire lineup on Thursday. Congratulations.
Man, I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
And also, I want to time it so that I do my set right before Neil, so maybe he watches it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Putting it on the record here.
Putting it on the record.
Great.
It's a big deal.
You gotta put it in the air, man, if you want it to happen.
Yeah, he's on my Mount Rushmore. So what I wanted to share with you is I was at the Comedy Store Saturday night, I think, and I was starving. I just mistimed that window of like late dinner until like hanging out at the Comedy Store all night. And shout out Mike Black. He brought a ton of chips and cookies and Werther's Originals and I'm blanking on all the rest of it there, and I'm starving and I'm kind of wanting to leave, and Lisa Traeger is asking me if I want to play backgammon, and all these people are hanging out having a good time, so I don't want to leave, but I'm so hungry. And Logan Gunselman, friend of the show, she's been on the show before, she comes over to all of us hanging in the hallway and she goes, guys, there are all these snacks in the back bar. And at the word snacks, involuntarily in the silence, I go, ooh. And everyone looks at me and goes, ooh. And I was like, what? There's snacks there. And it was very embarrassing. But at the same time, my mind, body, and soul had to let out the most like yummy, delicious sound I could think of.
Okay. Do you felt like this was kind of like an elementary school moment? Is
exactly.
That's what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I just like, everyone else was like, chill out. There's chips and snacks there. Go get a snack. Why are you making sounds?
Let me go eat.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love those moments when you involuntarily you're making me think of the time when one of my friends, the edible hit before he really realized what was happening, and I was standing right next to him, and he all of a sudden just flinched and he turned his head and he went, noise.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, hey, Josh, how's it going? And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just had to say what happened.
Yeah. It's when your brain takes that shortcut to your mouth.
Ooh.
Yeah. When it's like, oh, I got to get out of there quick.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take the normal it doesn't take the normal pathway and it uses the fucking bridge. It's never a good move.
I think also when you live alone like you do and like I do, we're just accustomed to saying things out loud without realizing that other people are going to hear us say those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time. I'm like, they'll regret that.
Oh my God.
Or whatever.
Great.
What up, Mary Jane?
How's it going, Mike?
Great, everybody. Welcome to Weed and Grub. This is a podcast about comedy,
cannabis,
cooking,
culture,
calling shit out,
and regrets, evidently.
Well,
or not having regrets.
Having regrets. I'll tell you what. While we're still in January and it still feels fresh to acknowledge New Year's resolutions, mine is little things will not feel like big things inside me. And so when you say the word regret, my first thought is yes, absolutely. And my second thought is no, dude, let it go.
That's nice. That's
Yeah.
good. That's also very in keeping with truly everything energetically, cosmically, universally, astrologically, spiritually. Like, yeah, let's not hang on to that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not going to do us any favors.
I mean, sure. Did I carry around the ooh snacks feeling until I could talk to you on this pod 4 days later? Absolutely.
Yes, you did. And that's why this is a safe space that I hold for both of us and you hold for both of us. We hold it together. We hold it for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This podcast at its core is all about allowing each other to burp the Tupperware.
Sure. Yeah. What does that mean?
Sometimes you got to let it out to keep it fresh.
Yeah. Okay. I see. You're like a curing your weed metaphor there.
Exactly.
Also, you keep your weed in Tupperware?
Well, I keep pasta. I keep leftovers in Tupperware.
Yeah. I only like the glass. Just saying.
I feel you on that.
The glass Tupperware.
Well,
not the Pyrex.
We're in different brackets.
I'm not in a different bracket. But can I just say on the tip of the safe space and holding it for you and you holding it for me and us holding it together for each other and for anyone who wants to come and hang out with us. One of my best friends the other night left me a 6.5-minute voice memo that was a total unwind spiral, very upset, big thing. And then immediately texted me and was like, don't listen to that. I'm so sorry. I just needed to put it somewhere. And I, of course, listened to it. And then I got back with like a 9-minute voice memo that was like, here's addressing all of the points that you brought up. And also, please always send those to me because this is what that's for. This is that friendship. This is that space. And I didn't have to listen to it. And obviously you were feeling weird about putting it out there, but like, I don't know. I'm loving that right now. I'm also on the Marco Polo app with a couple of friends right now. Do you know about Marco Polo?
I've never heard of it.
It's an app that I learned about during the pandemic. It's just like you can send a little video instead of sending a voice memo to someone through a text. You send a video message through this app and then they can just watch it whenever and respond in kind. And it's just a video sharing app, but it's great because I have friends in different time zones. And it was actually Jordan in New York who was like, hey, do you want to do Marco Polo with me? And we're like sharing little recipe clips and jokes. And sometimes she's like, Real Housewives tea or whatever. And so I'm doing that with friends. And that also feels like just a super awesome, safe space to like look at a friendly face and maybe like, you know, I've definitely got stuff going on in my personal life that I sometimes need a friend to listen to me cry about, you know, like I need to have a teary moment or whatever. So I just really feel you on the like letting this be safe here and also finding those safe spaces out in the world. You need your little lily pads before you plunge back into the dark, deep, cold water of the world.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. I burp Tupperware and you chill on lily pads.
Yeah, hopefully.
Trying. That's awesome.
You know, we're looking for the lily pads out here.
Oh, I mean, like my food, if you're on our YouTube, go to look at this picture.
What is happening in this very
it's
disgusting
at Weed and
picture?
Grub.
Okay.
I am striking out in the dinner area right now.
Okay.
It is not okay. I am trying to stick to my mostly meat and leafy greens and vegetables situation.
Mm-hmm.
What they don't tell you is that you're never allowed to leave your house for longer than a half hour.
Okay.
Because you will shit your pants. Like,
when you're eating leafy greens and meat?
It's just leafy greens and meat. And so ever since my worst cook days, I remember on episode 1 of Worst Cooks in America, before my very first intro to Bobby Flay was him through the earpiece, hearing what the producers wanted him to ask me, him nodding, and then saying to me, Mike, you're here because you say there's no such thing as expired eggs. As long as you cook them through, they're fine. And I said, absolutely. As long as you don't leave any white and it's cooked through, then there's no such thing as expired egg because all of the heat will kill all of the bacteria and then you're fine. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that's actually kind of a good point. And then we moved on.
Wow.
So this weekend, Sunday, I thought that my salmon would be fine as long as I cooked it through.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay.
I was talking to Sam, who works at the Comedy Store. She's in the booking area, and we were both talking about how like clean eating 2024. Put down the Oreos, pick up the fish. And she was telling me about a recipe she does to put salmon on a baking pan and put it in the oven at 400 with like some lemon on it and I was like, oh, I can do that. She's like, the best part is like your countertop doesn't spray with oil. You don't have to clean an air fryer. It doesn't smell. It just is oven contained. And I was like, great. So I did that. I smelled it. it was slimy. I should have washed it off. I washed it off in the sink and patted it dry, and then I put it in there, cooked it all the way through, ate it, laid on my side, sat upright as if I was like a mummy coming back to life, and raced to the bathroom, and I was out of commission for like 48 hours, even though it was cooked through. Don't eat bad salmon.
Yeah. I don't even know how you gagged it down if it smelled weird. That's insane. Bad fish is like one of the worst smells on the planet, Mike.
It wasn't turned. It was just like a week after the expiration date.
Yeah, that's turned. That's bad. There's a saying that you can't smell fresh fish, right? Like if you can smell the fish, you shouldn't buy it or eat it. So like when we, because I worked on a salmon boat all those years, and like if a boat would turn up with a load of salmon that we could actually smell, we knew that those salmon had been left out on deck too long. There was one boat that pulled up at one point, and they had actually put the salmon in a tote with some bleach to get rid of the smell. And I'll never.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was so wild. And my skipper just looked at it and he was like, "We can't buy these fish. What do you? This is insane. We're not going to buy these fish."
What is this? Distillate
Yeah.
from a underground
No
vape company?
Yeah, we're not doing this. But a really beautiful fresh piece of fish, you're never going to smell it, right? So the fact that you smelled it when you opened it, I just know that would have been food for Bobo at one point. And
I had nothing in my fridge.
oh my God.
It is what it is. I've never been skinnier in my life.
Okay.
While some may call that dehydrated, I call it thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. The vomitosis.
Oh my gosh.
Wild.
It's been a real roller coaster since we last recorded for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been
so
wild.
Sorry that you had that experience.
But again, if it's cooked through, and maybe, I mean, I definitely should get a meat thermometer, just because the accuracy of a meat thermometer means perfectly cooked steak every time, perfectly cooked chicken every time.
Sure.
But I do feel like there was no pink inside. It was cooked through. It was flaky. It was moist. The recipe was fantastic. Sam, this is not your fault. But I thought that the 400 temp would eradicate, kind of like a tattoo machine. Or whatever that's called, where you put
autoclave?
An autoclave. I figured my oven is an autoclave for salmon.
There's so many things about this. Number one, I don't think it was the salmon. I don't think the salmon was actually bad enough to make you really sick, because you're saying you're just eating steak and leafy greens and shitting your pants on the street, right? Like I think there's something wrong with you. Maybe you have giardia. I don't know. I just think
What is giardia? The
beaver fever.
What is that?
It's a terrible.
Wait, say one more slang term that I don't know.
It's a terrible thing that can happen to you when you drink contaminated water from a stream.
Oh no, this is my worst nightmare. You know that.
Yeah, I
little
sure
wormy,
do.
maggoty, botfly.
You're full of them.
Creepy
Mike.
crawl. No.
Maybe you got some pinworms in. I don't even know. Maybe you have. No, I don't. I truly don't know. But I'm just guessing that if you're having such huge digestive issues, that this salmon in particular, while it might not have been hella fresh, it wasn't really the root cause of all of your problems. I think you're just a sensitive stomached person, sensitive guy.
Yes.
We all know this.
Yes.
Anyone who listens to this podcast knows that you have a great joke about diarrhea.
Yeah.
Which is?
I didn't know. Wait, hold on.
Sorry, I didn't give you enough much time to set it up.
Oh, I don't remember eating this much diarrhea.
Yeah. Like we all know.
Yeah.
You're a sensitive person.
I got night plus market last night.
Oh.
Because I was on my way home from a bunch of friends. We all smoked weed and watched the first couple episodes of season 2 of Love on the Spectrum on Netflix.
Oh, great.
And on the way back, I ordered some night plus market. And I got the larb, and I got the crispy rice, and I got some fried pork belly. And I can't do it. There needs to be like when you click on the ordering, it needs to be like spicy, mild, and like Jewish tummy. And whatever Jewish tummy is like what I have to click. And it needs to come with like an upcharge for like a big thing of milk. I don't know I don't know what I need it to be.
I don't know.
I can't handle anything anymore.
I think you need
it's a problem.
Go see a dietitian and an allergist and a nutritionist.
February 7th, I'm getting my blood drawn. Shout out Dr. Golden. He was like, let's figure this out.
Yeah, we got to figure this out for you because okay, listen, if you're ordering crispy pork belly and larb, that's on you, man. Those are just bad choices that you're making that are going to fuck with those are going to fuck with my stomach. And I don't have stomach issues, but like crispy pork, it's so rich.
Yeah.
I made a pork belly sandwich last week and it was delicious. And then I felt real weird for about 6 hours afterwards because it's just too much fat for your body.
The Trader Joe's pork belly?
Yes, the one you gave me for Christmas.
That is it's delicious, but it's rich. It's weirdly rich for even pork belly.
I think pork belly is just pork belly, right? Isn't it always going to be just crazy?
I don't know, man. The fattiness and the melty fattiness of that is
you
like
were making bad
crazy.
choices if you're ordering that crazy stuff, especially if you're, like we said, you're having all these other issues.
I know.
Yeah, you need to be on.
You really think I have Giardinera?
Giardia?
Yeah.
Giardinera is like like an olive tapenade kind of situation, right?
Yeah, hot dogs in Chicago.
Great. So maybe that's what's wrong with you.
Doctor.
I've got Giardinera.
She thinks I have pinwheels and Giardinera.
Oh my God. No, I was thinking about the pinworms. This is a really disgusting episode.
Oh,
but
yeah. Ooh.
I was just watching a TikTok about someone whose kid had come home with pinworms. And then there was someone explaining in the TikTok, she was like, well, here's where the pinworms come from and how they get passed on. And like the whole situation, I was just like, nope.
Nope.
Yeah, I know you're not a big fan.
I even like, man, sometimes my TikTok will try and sneak in a horse hoof.
Yeah?
And I can't deal with any of that.
A horse hoof? What do
yeah,
you
like
mean?
cleaning a horse hoof or like shaving down the thing for a new shoe and stuff. I can't deal with any of that stuff, man.
Sensitive.
Can't do it. I
Yeah.
don't like things squeezing. I don't like oozes. I don't like shavings. I can't deal with any of it.
You know what? I've said this to you off pod. I don't know if I've ever said it to you on here, is that I think you were in the Civil War and you died with some like weird suppurating wound that was full of maggots. And it's like past life shit that's coming back to get you because you're so specifically squirmy about it.
Yeah.
In a way that like, I know you're like, you've had major surgery. You've been hit hard. You've been like, you're not like a squirrely, squeamy, weemy person. You watched The Human Centipede, for God's sakes. Like you've a bunch of stuff that I could never do.
Yeah.
That I'm super squirrely about. But when I'm like maggots, you just literally like, I watch your eyes go black and I can feel your butthole tighten.
It does. And it comes from a place that other things don't come from. I don't know. I think you might be right. Yeah. It's a deep something that I can't even tap into the actual heart of.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, I mean, I don't really necessarily believe in past life stuff, but I do believe in generational things that are handed down. So maybe an ancestor of yours died in a weird way with a suppurating wound full of maggots, or maybe you did on the battlefield in the wherever
I told you
it
about
was.
my recurring dreams, right?
Let's hear them.
Have I told you about my recurring dreams about my leg injury where I'm pulling things out of it?
Yes, you have, actually. Yes, you have.
So I think you're absolutely right.
No.
I do think that this is a either past life or string theory multiverse of me that is like sending signals to this me. Something is 100% accurate for this because it's not just like me now.
Right.
There's something deeper than that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
especially if it's coming
so
up in my subconscious and in my dream state.
crazy.
And all these other like levels of myself.
I wonder what would happen if you did some therapeutic ketamine and like really sort of meditated on it.
What happened for you? Like I'd love to be comfortable around maggots. I'm praying for it. So many people would love for me to be fine with these
Everyone
things.
just wishes you were cool with maggots, Mike. It's so weird that you're not. Everyone wants you to just be down to hang with maggots.
Yeah. So we're all begging for it.
Maggots are fine.
This doctor's like, all right, so you think you have Giardinera and you'd like to be more comfortable around maggots.
Yeah, not weird at all. My experience with ketamine, I mean, I took the therapeutic ketamine because I was diagnosed with PTSD. And so it was directly like, I was like looking to sort of unlock some pieces of my brain that I haven't been able to unlock around that PTSD diagnosis solely through talk therapy. And it was beautiful and it worked incredibly well. And I'm looking forward to doing some more sessions. Like it really helped me feel safe in my body. I felt very connected spiritually to some loved ones that have gone that I grieve very deeply. And I was like, oh no, I can still, like, it was really cool to have these ketamine experiences that helped me address some stuff that's like, daily stuff for me. Very helpful. So maybe it would help you with your
could you
maggot stuff.
Maybe so. I mean, could you qualify your like level of healing in a percentage from
No.
or any kind of like lessening of with a percentage to it, or is it more of just like a smoothing of the cracks in the concrete a bit?
It was more the first big session that I did. The two main things that I came away from that session with that I hadn't been able to really realize until I did it. One was that the movie that plays on loop in my head of all of the terrible things that I am just constant, like I can't look away from. And I'm like, oh fuck, it's that, I think everyone has it to some degree, that thing where you're just like, you ruminate on it. It's the thing that fucked you up on some level, and it's just always there. I realize that it's always going to be there and it's always going to be playing, but I don't have to look at it. I can literally like look over here. There's just something else happening over there. And it was such a funny, simple, weird, funny realization in the moment, but it was truly like in that sort of ketamine space, I was looking at the thing and then I was like, I don't need to look at it. I'm going to look. And I looked elsewhere and there was this like beautiful green sort of spacious open field. And I was like, wow, that's a interesting realization that I truly had never been able to touch with just talk therapy. And the other was feeling absolutely safe in my breath and my consciousness and in my body in a way that I hadn't in, I think when I did it, it had been 18 years since I'd really felt that way. I was like, wow,
That's awesome.
I feel safe in my body. Yeah, it was great. It was really great.
If
Highly
I'm
recommend
hearing
it.
you correctly, throw away that old salmon and buy some fresh salmon.
No, throw away the old salmon and buy some ketamine. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Mike.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What else do we have today? Speaking of just like cooking and,
Sure.
and recipes and tips. Oh my God. Shout out Chris Darlington, who is an old friend of mine from Newfoundland, who I don't think I've even seen since we were maybe teenagers, but we follow each other on Facebook and Instagram. And Chris just recently posted, he was like, I have a hack. If you type in cooked.wiki/ before the HTTPS of any recipe blog or website, these recipe blogs where you go and you're like, how do I get to the recipe? There's like 62 pages of the story of your grandma growing up on a farm and the cow who you got the butter from was named Bessie and whatever. If you type in,
and it's like a grilled cheese.
Yeah. And it's just, oh my God. And of course, this like they do this for the SEO and the content, and that's how they make their money, and they monetize it through the pop-up ads. And it's all a nightmare when you're just like, just give me the grilled cheese recipe.
Yeah.
If you type in cooked, Kook. If you type in cooked, COOKED.WIKI/ before the HTTPS of the website, it absolutely removes all of the fucking bullshit, and it just breaks everything down into a list of ingredients and a list of the steps to cook and assemble said ingredients. It fucking works, and it's the coolest hack of all time.
That's awesome. I don't give a fuck about your story.
No. Game changer.
Game changer.
I don't give a shit that you and your husband like to drink your homemade almond milk because you're paleo and your kids have allergy. Like, no. I don't want to read your mommy blog. I just want the recipe. Give it to me. Give it to me now.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's a hell of a hack. And I'm so excited about it. And I'm spreading the word. It's like the paywall to jump over, the website to jump over paywalls for reading articles that are like at the Wall Street Journal and stuff where they charge you a bunch of money. 12foot.io, 12ft.io. You can jump over paywalls to read things.
Oh my gosh.
Cooked.wiki is your hack to get past that recipe blog nightmare nonsense.
That's fantastic.
It's so great.
Have you found sandwich recipes using using
No,
things or anything like that?
My sandwich recipe, my butt of the week actually is a big sandwich recipe inspo person, so I'll wait to shout him out. But also now people are sending me TikTok sandwich recipes. The sandwich I made today was inspired by a TikTok that our friend Charlotte shared.
Nice.
So I'm not doing too much scrolling around on the interwebs. I'm just like getting real time stuff sent to me, which is great.
Man, I remember I used to try and do a stand-up joke about the story before the recipe.
Yeah.
And then a New Yorker Shouts and Murmurs came out. That was so perfect. And Jenna Friedman might have even written it.
Oh, wow.
And it was a perfect satirical parody of those.
Mm-hmm.
And, it went as far as to like aliens abducting the dog. And then it was like, anyway, the beef stroganoff. And it was just so fantastic. It was so otherworldly. It was great.
That's fantastic. Also, her book is so great. Thank you for that gift.
Oh, you
Not
cracked
funny.
it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Heck yeah.
She's so great. I'm really enjoying reading these books by these like brutally funny women. Jeanette McCurdy is another one I just read. I'm Glad My Mom Died.
Yes.
And what a brutal book, but it's also so fucking funny about the most fucked up shit ever. So yeah, really enjoying those books right now.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I kind of need to go back to close a loop for myself.
Okay.
And get your opinion on.
Sure.
When you were talking about past lives, and I'm so sorry, but I do
No,
need your opinion
yeah,
on
of
this.
course.
When you're talking about past lives and all of that, so I was recently in contact with my good Chicago friend Chaz Fries. That's his real name.
Chaz Fries.
Yeah.
Best name ever. Jeez.
Really good dude. And the first and only time I ever tried salvia was at his apartment in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I did all the things I was supposed to do. Huge hit, held it in until I couldn't anymore. Exhaled, and then laid back like a demon possessed me and took me over. And I saw there's a Stone Temple Pilots album called Something Something Gift Shop with a woman on the cover with a swimming cap on, and I saw fractals of her in the ceiling fan, and I just like lost myself to this other dimension for what seemed very quickly. But I was gone. I was not here. And then when I came back, my body broke into a full sweat, head to toe. All my pores broke into a cold sweat. And then I came to it, and I felt crazy. And I was sharing that with a couple friends the other night, and one of them posited that I left this body, my current soul, or whatever you want to call my inside mechanisms, left, and a different me from a different timeline or a different multiverse or something came in that crack through reality, and now I'm a different version of me from a different string of glazers. And I can't stop thinking about that since they brought it up. And I just wanted to get your opinion on that as someone who is a psychonaut and logical.
Oh, that sounds uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like it made me really question like my timeline, my choices, who I am. And then you watch a scary movie, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, like who am I and what's inside me from that?
For sure. I think that, yeah. So just like, I don't think anyone should ever do salvia.
Oh.
Ever. I think that my experience with watching someone do it the way you did it, it was my boyfriend at the time. We were living together. We, spent every waking moment together, and he smoked it and he went away. And when he came back, he opened his eyes. He had no idea who he was. He had no idea who I was. He had no idea where we were. And he tried to escape the apartment. And he was so panicked because he had come to in a room full of complete strangers it was terrifying. It only lasted a few minutes. And then when he sort of like came back, he was like, I never, ever, ever want to experience that again. I didn't know what was going. It was just awful. And he had like repercussions for several months where he would have little sort of moments where you could see him sort of remembering it. It would like resurface. And it was I really, really, really think that salvia can be very harmful for anyone.
How funny for the thing you can get over the counter at the gas station, for that to be the one that's like will kind of crack your code a bit.
Can you? I don't even know.
At the time, I thought it was purchasable at like head shops and stuff as like an alternative to weed.
I think that is how we got it. Yeah. Because this would have been probably 12 or 14 years ago now, a long ass time ago. But I just don't think it's something to mess with. Like I don't really mess with any like I have never done DMT because I have reservations about how far I want to go into that world. So I don't know. I think like just obviously this is something that's already happened to you, so I can't caution you against it. But anyone listening, like really be very careful. As far as like something entering you from a different timeline, I think that's like where you can really start talking about, how drugs can destabilize you and like how you can really start to feel weird about it. And then if you get it as a sort of like a repetitive or intrusive thought, that can become really problematic. I don't think that that's what you need to actually worry about. I think you had an uncomfortable experience.
I did.
And you still maybe haven't metabolized it on some level and you need to like just do a little reintegration. But no, I don't think that there's a different Mike from a different timeline currently occupying your body. I will say I've had experiences in my life, the big experiences that have really defined me, that have traumatized me. My friend's death, for instance, that I talk about, with friends who really know me. I have felt to some degree since that time that I am living on a different timeline. Like it's a very familiar feeling, I think, to when things are really hard and when you're just feeling like unmoored because things don't feel safe, that you can feel like you're living in a different reality. You're in a different world. You don't feel anchored to what's happening. No one really understands your experience. So maybe it's a little bit of that
Maybe.
as well as like, yeah, I think it's, especially if you struggle with like trauma or depression or any of those things, it's easy to be like, I'm in the wrong life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, but I don't think it's actually the truth that you're in the wrong life. I think it's just something that's like easy to sort of hook into as a way to understand, like, why do I feel weird? Why do I feel uncomfortable? Why do I feel like that person doesn't understand me? Maybe it's because I'm the wrong person in the wrong body.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. If true, will you please indulge me and do me a favor?
Sure.
Will you pick up that phone receiver and put it to your ear?
No.
Please?
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What do you want? There's a phone here. I'm picking it up. I'm putting it to my ear. There's nothing there.
And you're still here. Okay. I just need to make sure you were not Neo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that you were not going to dive into the Matrix and leave me here to do a solo pod for the next.
If anything,
40.
I would be Carrie Ann Moss, who is Trinity, and still here. Also, they're both Canadian.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Do you know that to kiss Trinity, Keanu was paid $1 million?
What does that mean?
I don't know if that's true or not, but there was something in his contract where if he's going to kiss a person on screen, it's an extra $1 million.
Great.
Right?
Yeah. I wish I got $1 million every time I kiss someone. Fucking great. Is this a good spot to do our news story?
I think that's like actually a perfect
tie-in.
tie-in.
Trippy
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so our news story, our Grublet Gazette, is coming to us this week from. I read it on High Times. I'm sure it's been reported elsewhere. Oh yes, it was reported in Nature magazine. There is a new move to use artificial intelligence to identify drugs. I just heard a very cool episode of Hard Fork, which is a tech podcast, where they were talking to a researcher who was using AI to identify new types of antibiotics. And this is a story that pharmaceutical researchers in the United Kingdom are using AI to develop new psychedelics, according to research released last month. Evidently, the research has not yet been peer-reviewed, but it shows that using an AI tool is as useful as experimentally produced protein structures, which can take up to years to investigate. Like this AI, which is called AlphaFold, is helping identify them more quickly. So researchers are obviously working all the time to identify new like structures for drugs and all that kind of stuff. And so it's not actually going to replace that work, but it is something that could accelerate the sort of like the suppositions and like going down all of the sort of rabbit holes of like what could this compound look like and coming up with them and then helping scientists identify them.
When you say identify, are we talking about like this could be a beautiful addition to how much research we need in cannabis to understand as much as we can about this plant without the thing?
No, it's identifying new compounds. So it's literally saying like, here's the
Okay.
synthetic structure of a new compound. So Sasha Shulgin, who is known as the godfather of ecstasy, synthesized over 700 different psychedelic compounds through his work and his life. And he wrote Pikhal and Tikhal, which are the two sort of like Bibles of psychedelic research and synthetic compounds. And he's incredible if you want to read about him. Sasha Shulgin's amazing. And so that kind of work is still ongoing with researchers working in labs to identify how to create new compounds and all sorts of like this is throughout the drug world.
Yeah.
But this is specifically this one group of people is using this AI tool, which is called, I said the name, AlphaFold, an artificial intelligence tool which was developed by DeepMind in London to identify new psychedelic compounds.
Which means new drugs that may have never existed before could be discovered.
That's right.
That is awesome.
Yeah. AlphaFold will not take the place of other methods of discovering new drugs. It's not a panacea, says Karen Akinsanya, president of research for therapeutics at a drug software company, which is using AlphaFold. She says there's a lot of people that want AlphaFold to do everything, but a lot of structural biologists want to find reasons that we say we're still needed. Finding the right balance is different. So obviously this is finding like a way for AI to work to enhance and work with scientists to make their research.
I mean, this is thrilling to me for
better.
a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it could speed up the process significantly to help discover ways to curb addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So if something like cigarettes, alcohol, heroin, meth, the thing that you take to get off heroin, which I'm blanking on the name for, like you could, like there may be compounds and discoveries through AI that we can speed up the idea of like helping get out of this opioid epidemic and putting new scientific compounds out there to help curb and delete these types of addictions, which could be huge. On the flip of that, dance all night, party all day. And who knows what that can look like. Like,
Yeah,
you know
I
what
think
I
this
mean?
is specifically about therapeutic stuff. Like all the dancing all
Sure.
night stuff is not really happening so much. Well, it is happening in labs, but like,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, college labs.
I mean, look, yeah. I mean, if they're giving Molly to octopi, then we're learning things all the time.
Sure.
But yet, it's also, well, I know that this will be interesting to get your take on, actually, because the other thing that you make me think of is when everyone has Neuralink and our spines are just tapped into the singularity, and you can inject a compound directly into the base of your brain and instantly have that compound react with your molecular structure for some kind of specific instant result. That could come at some time.
Sure. Did you ever see Strange Days?
Oh gosh, so long ago.
Yeah.
So long ago. Yeah.
I want to give it a rewatch. It was such a good, creepy, weird look at like, yeah, that idea of tripping through linking your brain to a system.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was also another really amazing movie called Until the End of the World, which is, I think, 4 hours long, but the last hour of it is dedicated to like that kind of idea of like tripping on your own subconscious. Fucking cool.
Wow. Which ultimately would be magnificent. Like, I'd love to meet the other me's in the multiverse and have us all come together through like a compound that lets us, shrink our subconscious to the size of a quark to be able to like flitter through space and time and like
go to
meet
like
each other.
a conference of mics?
Yeah,
like
who else would I want to
all the
hang out
Glazers
with?
in one place, all the Mike Glazers from all the multiverses in one.
We're all just shitting our pants and making bad jokes together. How nice!
What a fantastic time.
This is thrilling. Like, this is what I am interested. I'm so anti AI for so many reasons, but when I hear about something like this, I'm like, yep, nope, this is a good thing.
Yeah, the more I hear, obviously if you follow Reggie Watts, like he's so pro AI being an enhancer for the human condition and for society and for a way to like move us forward. And he's constantly like showing me that like there are ways to have hope about it. And then I just read the fucking news or like Elon does something insane. And I'm like, no, it just doesn't seem like it's good for us. So it's really nice to have a story reinforce like, yes, drug development.
Yeah.
Listening to Hard Fork, I was like, okay, phew, great. AI is doing really great stuff in the pharmaceuticals industry. And now it seems like in the psychedelics world. So that's great. And I'm going to choose to be optimistic that AI is going to be helpful for us.
On the optimism tip, I would hope that this type of thing will also decrease the amount of arguments across the aisle between politicians, because you can no longer say we don't have the research or the funding or what about human error. So if we can do something like this for psychedelic compounds, what if we can start using AI, or I'm sure it's already happening, for things like climate change and these huge big problems where everyone is allowed to like stop each other from any kind of progress whatsoever, but then you can point to a infallible 0 and 1 robot and say, this is the data, this is the research, and that's irrefutable. You can't, and there, so that's kind of my hope that comes from these kind of like solution-based attacks towards like progress.
Yeah, that'd be great if AI could infiltrate politics and stop some of the absolute shenanigans going on. Huge. Yes. I'm already so stressed out and it's not even the end of January in this crazy year politically. So yeah.
Of course.
Love
of course. So like, you can't, if Ted Cruz is ever like, actually, just because the cumulus clouds are filled with acid doesn't really mean much. And it's like, well, robots tend to disagree with you. So that's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
Also, I would really like a drug that would let me talk to animals. So if we can get that going AI, that's the next drug I want to like swallow, take, and chat with.
I feel like I can
call it Doolittles.
I can communicate with Archie when I'm on an edible.
Yeah.
I can actually hear him. I had actually when Bobo was still around too, I had a night with him where I took an edible and he was just really close to me and we were watching TV together and like we just got closer and closer and closer to each other's faces and I was like basically like making out with him by the end of it and just listening to him breathing, and he was such a gross weird old cat too. It was like disgusting, but also I loved him so much that I was like, this is amazing to like commune with him in that way. And I feel like I do that. I did that with Archie last night, actually. I was kind of like I was in in his fur behind his ears and just smelling him and like loving him so much. And I was like, yeah, like an edible and some physical contact with your pet. You can hear what they're thinking.
Okay. Well,
Get off me.
oh, that's it. Will you relax?
God, why can't you leave me alone? She's so needy.
Well, if producer Mark listens to this episode, because producer Alex is here right now and I'm dog sitting for Noodle. So maybe tonight I'll take 50 milligrams and Noodle and I will
just smell his ears.
Smell each other and chat.
Yeah, it's going to be great. You're going to love it.
Awesome. Actually, all of this kind of ties into a question we got.
Yes.
So moving on to Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Our friend Jordan.
Who wrote us this following email.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm a big fan of the show.
And I appreciate the advice you gave me previously. Are we going to do a trade-off read for this?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
I'm somewhat new to weed still.
And my knowledge has grown exponentially since getting a job at a shop.
Everyone I work with is fantastic.
But I want to learn more outside the shop.
What books or resources do you recommend?
Appreciate all you do. Fuck the feds.
Jordan in happenstance.
Hey, Jordan. Thank you so much. Great question. I used to love reading all of the books that would come in when I was an editor at High Times, and people would be like, I'm going to explain weed to everyone. And it was like, usually like some person who just had a story that they thought would be interesting. And then you read it and you're like, not that interesting.
Yeah.
But there are a few, I think, required reading books that like have stood the test of time, and always there are more coming out. But I would say number one would be the Cannabis Grower's Handbook by Ed Rosenthal.
Oh, yeah.
Famed cultivator, Ed Rosenthal. The Cannabis Grower's Handbook is just like the Bible if you grow, if you want to know about the plant at all. He's a crusty motherfucker. And he has every right to be, I guess. He's been doing this for a long ass time, and I'm sure he's like fought all of the battles.
It really is like the oh God, I'm blanking on the cookbook that everyone starts with in culinary school that has all
Joy
the
of
French,
Cooking?
It's like French techniques. Yeah, it's all the mother sauces. It really is like your baseline foundation of cultivation.
Yeah, and it's it's been published a million times, and I think most major you could probably find it at Barnes and Noble. And then also Danny Danko from High Times has a few great books. He wrote the official High Times Guide to Strains that I think now if you pick it up would feel like a bit of an antique because it's strains from like 12 years ago. But he wrote his cannabis encyclopedia, or I can't remember exactly what it's called, but we'll put links to all of these in the show notes.
Yep.
You can look up Danny Danko's cultivation book and Ed Rosenthal's cultivation book. And then for straight like having fun at home and like looking at some food porn and like cooking, the Bong Appetit cookbook is kind of unbeatable.
It's again, dang it, I gotta look up no, I won't. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Our friend Elise McDonough, who was the first ever edibles editor at High Times, was working on the show and on the book, and she had a lot to do with how gorgeous it is. And it's just a great book with some really fantastic recipes and sort of like the basics, what you need to know about like infusing your fats and all that kind of stuff. And it's beautiful and it looks good on a coffee table.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Another cookbook, somebody on TikTok is right now cooking every recipe in Snoop Dogg's weed cookbook.
No.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest, impressed by these recipes.
That's
I
so good.
figured it was like he put his name on something by a bunch of ghostwriters and it's
sure
just
he
gonna be
did.
nonsense. Yeah, he probably did. But the recipes are still phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that Snoop had a cookbook. Okay, I'm going to check that out too. We'll add that to the list as well.
100%.
And then also, if you're interested in cooking with cannabis, our friend Christina over at Fruit and Flower, she doesn't have a book out yet. I'm sure it's in the works, but she has an amazing Substack. You can read some of it for free, and then you can also subscribe. I think it's like $5 a month. I'm a subscriber, and she has weekly newsletters and recipes and videos, and she's also just a great follow on Instagram, but she's super, super, super knowledgeable and educational and informative and cool.
To add to that, not only does she have recipes, but she does deep dives into edibles and compounds and research and flower. Like she, there's a lot of education in there, as well as cocktails and bundt cakes and things like that.
Yeah, she'll talk about the different forms of like solventless, why you should use rosin versus using distillate, or what's going to be interesting about pairing this particular strain with this particular flavor profile in food. And it's a good time. So check out Fruit and Flower. And then also, I wanted to shout out our friend David Bienenstock, who I also worked at High Times with. He wrote a great book that's just about cannabis culture and politics and the history of it, called How to Smoke Pot Properly.
Yeah.
And it's a great read, and you can learn how to roll a joint in a windstorm from it and a bunch of other stuff. And it's just, I feel like culturally it's a great touchstone, because his career as a cannabis journalist is like the last, I don't know exactly how long, but I'm going to say like 25 years at least, maybe 30 years
Absolutely.
of what's been going on.
He was
in this
just in
country.
Humboldt trimming.
Yeah.
Like the dude is tapped in.
Yeah.
In every way.
He went on Tucker Carlson's show and fucking showed that fucking smug frozen fish air. What was what? Fuck, I hate that guy. And he's not on TV anymore, so we don't have to look at him, which is great. But yeah, so David Bienenstock went on Tucker Carlson and was just like, "Shut up, man, just shut up." And his book is called How to Smoke Pot Properly.
Yeah. One more pitch. Especially, congrats on getting a job at a shop. That's exciting.
Congrats.
That's so cool, Jordan.
Yes.
Something that I've talked shit about in the past, but I'm coming around on is the idea of journaling and the idea of like marking down the things that you do and do not like when it comes to strains, types, smoke, white ash, vaping, distillate, disgusting terps being added. And there's some communities popping up here in Los Angeles, and maybe Jordan, where you live too, they are already happening, or maybe they need to be started. But it's cool to hang with a bunch of heads and learn from them everything from like where it was like popping seeds back in the 80s to smell this, you smell that, this is what that terp is. And there's a lot of like circles happening right now where everyone is sharing their knowledge while smoking joints at places like Astor Club. And that is an exciting thing that I didn't have until very recently, and I'm very excited to get deeper into that kind of community.
So cool. The weed nerds are so interesting, man. Like I used to, when I would work at the Cannabis Cups, after the day was over, we would all go back, all of the staff and some of the heads who were like judges for the cup and stuff, and we would always end up hanging out in the parking lot. And always I would gravitate, because I'm just like a night owl and I always want to stay up late and I always want to be in conversation with people. I would always gravitate toward the guys who are always at the fucking edge of the parking lot around a picnic table with all of their different flower out, just comparing notes and talking shop. And it was so wild to I usually just sat and listened, because they had so much to say about back crosses and F1s and this genetic and that clone, and that guy's full of shit because he didn't get his seeds where he said he did, and this is the profile, and these just like, it's so neat to learn from people who really know what they're talking about. So
absolutely,
those meetups are crucial.
They're crucial,
because you can't just like look on Reddit. You're never going to learn that way. You got to talk to people.
I tried to look up on Reddit last night if any of the Greek philosophers were pedophiles, and it was just a bunch of strangers chiming in with their thoughts. There was no hard data, and I was very frustrated.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't trust Reddit or QRO or whatever it's called. Quora. Yeah. No, it was just a bunch of faceless bots being like,
yeah.
Absolutely not.
Okay, I'm not going to ask about the Greek pedophile shit.
Well, it's for a joke I'm working on.
Okay, good. Do we need to dive into it? Do you need me to ask about it?
No.
Do you want me to try and...
I'd rather shoot some shots and fire some shots at someone.
Okay.
If you'd prefer. Oh, that makes you tense too.
I don't know. Just pedophilia in general, I feel like, is something we don't need to get into on this particular podcast. I think you're starting your own podcast in conjunction with your special, maybe? Is that going to happen or no?
Yeah, but I don't think we'll tap on it there either.
Yeah, so I don't want you to use this podcast for your dumping ground for that stuff, though, is what I'm saying. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what you hit save and draft for.
I'm like,
that was a save and draft thought.
Yeah.
And it accidentally got posted.
Yes. Yeah. You feel me? We're not going to... Weed and Grub is not the spot for that.
No.
No.
I'm so sorry.
This is, we don't want to pour salt on this earth. Right?
Absolutely not.
Keep it fertile and good.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. Apologies for that draft sneaking through.
No worries. Anyway, there are our recommendations, and we can do another round if people want to hear more. But those, I think, would like be a great little starting library for you if you want to know more about culture, cooking, cultivation, all of those things. I think we got you covered there.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is also a great time to shout out the Emerald Cup for denying my judging application. If you're listening to this episode, I know some shit, and I can't believe that you said, I don't think you're a qualified judge for the Emerald Cup.
Oh.
Big mistake. You're stupid. You're wrong. I know what I'm doing, and I care so much about this community and the small businesses.
Wait.
So why did you say no to my judging application, you fools?
What did the response that you got say?
Unfortunately, we had so many applicants, and since we opened it up to the general public this year, we can only take so many people.
Yeah, so that doesn't sound like it was a judgment call about your actual cannabis knowledge. It's just like we only had so many slots to fill, and we couldn't get you in.
I didn't get picked, so it is a judgment call. And this podcast is so good, and I think we care and we learn. And so I'm just going to call it the Emerald Cup and say you made a big fucking mistake. I know what I'm doing and I care.
You think that's going to get you picked next year?
Don't care.
Jesus Christ, Mike.
What?
I don't think that's the way to be.
It's not. And also, don't care is a lie. Of course I care.
Well,
Otherwise, I
there
wouldn't
you
bring it up.
God
Look,
damn.
It's not my fault. This is a version of me that I didn't even want inside this body.
Oh, okay.
This is I blame string theory for this entire section.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I am actually hoping that the good me that's floating around just on the outskirts of this reality is like tapping on the glass, being like, he's destroying his career. Let me in there.
He pushes people away when they get too close because he doesn't want to get so close to get hurt. So before they can hurt him, he hurts them.
Tap, tap, tap,
Tap, tap, tap, tap, tap, tap. Stop it. Don't do that. I'm just calling it out right here.
Much appreciation, Mary Jane.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Speaking of appreciation, I believe we have someone sent us something because they appreciate us.
It was really nice to get. I'll get it right now. Hold
Okay.
on one second.
Hang on. I'm going to cough and you're going to get, why don't you get that thing and then I'll just keep talking. And then when you come back, I'll cough. And that way we don't have to edit anything out because there's no space for anyone to think we're not on air. Okay, you ready?
Yes. The time that they took with this, and you haven't seen any of this yet.
Oh my God.
But the amount of time. So one, this is from Hannah.
Hannah, thank you.
And I'll hand you this first.
Okay.
If you want to read it,
it's
pretty beautiful.
Oh my God. This is long too.
Yeah.
Whole missive. Oh, I'm going to take time to read this off pod, but it says, we'd like to share with our best buds, sending hugs, nugs and kisses. Oh my God. I love that so much.
Nugs and kisses.
Oh my God. Hannah's the manager of a hemp-based dispensary out of Southern Illinois called the Wellness Center.
Shout out the Wellness Center.
Shout out the Wellness Center in Southern Illinois. I've been listening to the podcast for a few years now, and it is truly my absolute favorite top recommendation. The only one I genuinely count down the days until the next ep. You guys keep me informed, laughing, creative, and always wanting to pack a joint or pass a gummy too. Whoa. And then there's some things for us to try in this package.
I also loved it because this letter that came with it from Hannah, that explains how hemp can be sent all over the country.
Yes.
And so to get a lovely gift from Hannah with something like this, I just wanted to share that with you as well.
Yeah, it's so neat. So the idea, I mean, it's so crazy. The distinction between hemp and cannabis is simply the level of THC contained in the plant. It is all the same plant. It is Cannabis sativa. Hemp is considered hemp when it has less than 0.3% THC. Anything above that is considered cannabis or marijuana. And so under the 2018 Farm Bill, hemp was legalized for distribution and sale. And so that's what these products are.
Yeah. So I
Very
will.
cool. Also, while you unwrap, I'm going to continue to read just a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay. Hannah explains the hemp gummies Delta 8. I like the Delta 8 for daytime use. Our traditional THC only hits one set of receptors in our body, whereas Delta 8 hits both sets, causes most who use it to have less anxiety and paranoia. Here's our safety instructional card. And, the very end says, my cat Meow Meow fully embodies Bobo by being just the most adorable, loving asshole that terrorizes a neighborhood. We're sending loving energy your way. Hannah, this is amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, it's so great.
And wow. Okay. Wellness Supply Center. This is so dope. What do you have?
So I have right here 10 milligrams of THC, 100 milligrams of CBD per gummy, Wellness Center Delta 8 gummies, which I can't wait to try. I'll probably take these tonight and talk with Noodle. This is awesome. So I'll hold those up right here.
Yes.
There's 2 for you, 2 for me.
Amazing. Thank you.
Fantastic. And then, I'm just going to open this.
And then there's a CBD frequently asked questions info card here. It has an infographic of the endocannabinoid system. It explains the entourage effect, which is the synergistic effect between cannabinoids and terpenes in the body, whole plant effect.
I'm holding in my hand right now from the Wellness Center in Hannah, garlic truffle, a 26% indica.
Wow.
Mr. Nesty.
Okay.
A hybrid indica, and great handwriting, and green crack, number 1 for me. A sativa. I love green crack.
Great.
Oh, yeah. So let's crack this open. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yes.
Oh, wow. This smells absolutely delicious.
Did you ever do that as a little kid where you gave yourself a mustache?
Thank you so much.
I have a friend who could do that and then roll it into his mouth.
Wow.
He could go like this. and then get it into his mouth.
Amazing.
He always wanted to be on Guy Fieri's Minute to Win It.
Where is he today?
Good question.
What is he doing today?
Probably doing that all over the world.
Probably a millionaire.
Probably a millionaire
with his
too.
cool skill of putting shit in his mouth from under his nose.
The other thing is those little cards and koozies right there, and I just wanted to shout those out too.
Yeah,
if you could hand me.
Well, I talked about that already. The CBD cards, and then
cards.
there's I don't know. You handed everything to me. Here you
Sorry,
go.
that's my bad. So I what I also loved about this kind of like a thing from the wellness center itself is that it breaks down your sensitivity, especially because not everyone is used to things like Delta-9 and hemp. So like the approach would be the same as something that's not Delta-9, but I just like that with everything comes a card. So there's no guesswork involved.
Low and slow.
Low and slow, baby.
Titrate your experience. Take some time. Don't, big one for me, which I wish I'd learned sooner in life, is don't combine anything with anything else. Like don't have a beer and then see how that's going to feel. You know what I mean? Like you just want to like do one substance in your body and then wait. And then like you said, journal about it.
Absolutely.
Write down your experience. And then you will know more about yourself. And whether or not you are actually a reincarnated Civil War soldier who died with maggoty wounds.
Very quickly, go to wellnesssupplycenter.com. They gave us a couple of these spend $25, get $5 off.
Dope.
So maybe what we can do is take a picture of this QR code. If anybody wants to get some hemp products from Hannah and Wellness Center, hit us in the DMs. Maybe we can take a picture of a QR code and then they can use that QR code somehow for their own purchase.
I have no idea if that's legal or ethical, but sure.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Because then you can take the picture of the QR code. Oh.
I don't know.
Then it's on your phone. If you buy two phones and one has the QR code and the other one, or if you have a friend who has a phone.
If you have a friend who has a phone, we don't, what? I don't know.
Never
where
mind.
We're going with this.
Forget it. Damn it.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
You're the fucking best. That was amazing. And I'm so excited to dig back in and read this whole thing because it's really like you wrote, and I love that. And you've got beautiful handwriting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Hannah. Hit us up at wg@weedandgrub.com. Hit us in the DMs at weedandgrub. I mean, it feels so good.
Yeah, it's so great to hear from friends. We are just delighted. It's like the best thing in the whole wide world to hear from buds.
Yeah. Is that...
That's bringing us home. We have...
okay.
What do we have before we go?
Well, I do have a cream corner this week.
Okay, good.
I went on Twitter and Instagram story before I got shadow banned until February 7th. My life is in shambles.
You're just shitting your pants and you can't get the word out about anything? Why did you get banned again?
I put that picture of the Bass Pro Shop nude guy.
Oh.
And when he got arrested, he looked like the Venus de Milo.
Yes.
But I didn't blur out his tiny wang because I didn't think of it because it was so small that I didn't think to put a little heart over it or something.
Right.
And then it went viral and someone reported it. And now I'm Instagram banned until February 7th.
So dumb. I got a comment removed for violating community guidelines yesterday that was... So I was like, what are you doing? It was crazy. It was just like something to do with, I was talking about like how your relationship with your parents was around your body image. And I just commented, it was on someone else's post. It wasn't even on one of mine. And I just wrote, like I had a complicated relationship growing up with my mom because she was very critical of my weight. But I actually have compassion for her because I know that she was taught to be critical of her own weight and she didn't mean to pass anything on to me. And it got removed for community guidelines.
Really?
Yeah. And I didn't use any bad words. It was really,
Does your mom work at Instagram?
No.
Weird then.
Yeah. No.
Huh.
It's just bizarre.
I could see if she's combing through and being like, I don't,
yeah,
that's a flag.
What is she doing? So yeah, Instagram, get your act together. Okay, what do we got?
So the big question is, which is a bigger scam? $18 sandwiches or $18 craft cocktails?
Jesus Christ.
And everyone said, 66% said craft cocktails to 34% saying sandwiches.
Yeah.
From about 100-person vote. And then it was a little bit closer on Twitter, but again, craft cocktails came out on top.
Yeah.
So from like a 200-person survey, craft cocktails are the bigger scam.
Oh God. Yes, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I mean, the markup on alcohol is nuts. The reason that, bars, like that's how they make their money. It's
Yeah.
like the markup on booze is nuts.
Have you ever had a good craft cocktail?
Yes, so many.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So I would almost lean, well, okay. First, I guess we'll stay on craft cocktails. I have never had a good craft cocktail. I've never had, I don't, like none of the flavor profiles make sense to me. It's like, oh, you need to have creme de cassis with a squeeze of orange and a shot of whiskey and a spritz of lemon. And it all just tastes like nonsense in my mouth. Because it's not food, the flavors taste crazy because it's like a liquid that I'm supposed to identify as different flavors. I need the food in front of me to know what to make the taste make sense. So I am anti-craft cocktail across the board because I think they all taste disgusting.
Okay. I would just say that I totally agree that craft cocktails are nightmare nonsense 98% of the time. But when I lived in New York, it was sort of like the birth of the craft cocktail, I feel like was happening. I moved there in 2003. And it was right when like Wiley Dufresne had WD-50 and
Oh my
you know,
God.
like, I lived around
What
the
a
corner
legend.
and I could never go because it was so expensive. But like that was the sort of birth of the molecular gastronomy along with the rise of the craft cocktail and like the hipster movement. And there were a couple of places that I went in New York and then one place that I worked in New York that had truly masters of the craft coming up with the recipes and then teaching you how to make them in a way that I had never appreciated because I had bartended for so many years. At that point, I had bartended in Dublin and in London and in Seattle, and I was a decent bartender, and I worked at a good place in Seattle, Flying Fish, which was like a James Beard nominated chef.
Wow.
Or maybe she even won. But anyway, so I had like bartended in places with good ingredients, but I had never really understood what that was to have the cocktail sing because of the composition and the actual construction of it.
Yeah.
And I worked with one bartender in particular and I had to learn how to measure and how to caramelize an orange peel and how to truly like shake or stir depending on what it was. And the cocktails at that place were truly fucking magical. And you did feel like you were having sex with an angel when you had them. And you never wanted to have more than two.
What was the price range on something like that at that time?
About it, like it would have been at that time $14 or $15, which in today's dollars would be 18. And there was a beautiful place called Angel's Share, which I think has since shut down. That was, I think I took you there actually when we were in New York. It was
secret above.
Yeah, it was up above like a Japanese restaurant. And you had to go through a secret door.
So fucking awesome.
Angel's Share was another place that had those like truly, the bartenders were so serious, zero sense of humor. Not there to talk to you, just there to make you the best drink you'd ever had. So I have experienced it, but also I think like, you know, if you go to a place like Sassafras in Hollywood and they're trying to make you some like fucking rye whiskey with donkey punch nonsense, yeah, it makes me mad, and it's a total waste.
It is. It's always like pork fat washed whiskey.
Oh, I did have at Major Domo though. It's funny that you say that.
Yeah,
I went to Major Domo and I did have a fat washed old fashioned that was insane.
Really?
Yes, fucking insane. It was so good. But then that's Major Domo.
Right.
It's David Chang. So
right. Well, I think if I'm going to talk about a craft cocktail, I want to talk about it at that level.
Yeah. I think,
you know what I mean?
You know,
that's what we're really talking about.
Yeah. Like if you and I were drinking alcohol together right now, which we're not, but like someday if the time comes, if there's a birthday or something, I will take you out for a really beautiful craft cocktail.
It will be the first one I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot wait to have that experience and change my mind.
Someday down the road.
Because it, to me, is the bigger scam. Although, recently, sandwiches have been cutting corners in unacceptable ways at $18. The meat to bread to cheese to spread ratios are all out of whack. It is a $12 sandwich that you are upcharging by $6, and you know it. And I'm not talking about the margins. I know property, I know rent is high, but give me a freaking break. If I'm not full as heck by the end of that $18 sandwich, that's the difference for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I figured it out. A craft cocktail is not going to get me drunk. It's going to be satisfying. It's going to be boozy, and it's something to enjoy and sip with friends and chat and have a nice time. So in that case, the sandwich might be the bigger scam, because if I'm still hungry after that $18 sandwich, I've been duped. And I'm not drinking that craft cocktail to get messed up. I'm drinking it as a social endeavor to have community around me. So in that case, the sandwich might be a bigger scam because of its unsatisfyingness for what it should be promising.
Where is this sandwich that you had that was such a ripoff?
I don't want to name the name because it's somewhere that
Where is it? Can you like
no,
whisper it or say it so I can?
I can tell you off pod.
Okay.
But I would say it's a universal ripoff
Was
right
it
now.
Gigiata?
No, well, their shit just went up $1 each, and it is not satisfying.
I would say though that they like have for me consistently been worth it because their sandwiches are so loaded. Like they're not cutting back on anything.
Not at all.
They are so expensive,
In
and
fact,
I would only ever share one honestly because I don't have $20 to spend on a fucking sandwich.
They're so expensive, but at times I'm like, I'm going to buy 2 of these because I'm going to have one for lunch and one for dinner, and I'm so full that dinner is at 9 p.m. instead of 6 p.m.
Yeah, and
because of how satisfying
you look like
it
an
is.
anaconda. Just like a big sandwich shape in your middle. Yeah, I feel you.
But again, it's $20 for that sandwich. So.
Also, I'm just like, I'm not buying sandwiches right now because my whole house is a sandwich. So I don't know, like, what would you like I just made one with salmon roe and I had to go to a market and like actually buy you made me lobster rolls with roe a couple of years ago for my birthday. Like there are some sandwiches obviously that just need to cost a lot but are you just talking like cold cut sandwiches that are costing $18?
I'm just talking about the sandwich market as it currently is. I'm not talking about lobster rolls because that's, listen to that ep if you want to hear me go off about how I'm over those and what a big ripoff those are. I'm talking right now about the $18 sandwich that doesn't come with chips, that doesn't come with a drink.
Are you talking about
it's
ghost
not
sandwiches?
a combo. No, and I will not eat a ghost sandwich because they stole all of their bread, menu, and zhuzh from Ike's. And so I do not support ghost sandwiches, and I will never eat it there.
Okay.
Ike's is phenomenal, but again, I looked at Ike's on Postmates the other day. Every sandwich is $20.
Wow.
And they're sloppy and they're gooey, and there's so much ranch and bacon and shredded lettuce, and it's a wonderful sandwich. But I don't think any sandwich is worth $20.
Yeah.
Versus set and setting with a craft cocktail. If I eventually found one I liked, the sandwich might be a bigger scam.
Okay. All right.
If you
let
took
us
me
know
out,
what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Parmigiani, weigh in. Our friend Parmigiani.
That's who needs to weigh in.
We need you to weigh in on this because you are a fucking sandwich and pizza fucking maven expert.
Yes.
Also follow Parmigiani. Just throwing in an extra butt of the week there. But yeah, we need some friends to weigh in on this. Yeah.
You have not weighed in. I was craft cocktail heavy, but I'm actually leaning towards sandwich now that I think about what the promise is of each of these items.
I think I did weigh in. I don't love all craft cocktails, but I support a really well-made $18 craft cocktail. Kind of same for the Sammies. I'm just going to be like a diplomat about it because like I think there is certainly an $18 sandwich that's totally worth it. Like Jones on 3rd. They've got some amazing There's a short rib sandwich that I would totally pay $18 for there. Gwen, delicious sandwiches. Gigiata. These are the expensive sandwiches that I would totally pay $18 for, but I'm not going to stroll into, Erewhon and buy like a fucking sprout wrap for $18. Yes. Go fuck yourself.
Yes. I can't get off this topic yet because you just opened up a huge can of maggots for me.
Oh God.
The short rib sandwich at a place like Jones or the Gwen meatball where you have I'll use the Gwen meatball because I've been so anti-meatball until I had that sandwich and I was like, this is an incredible meatball sandwich and it's right around $18, but they double grind the meat. It's veal and pork mix. Then they bread it. The amount of work that goes into that short rib sandwich or that meatball sandwich, the homemade pesto, the homemade 24-hour sauce, the homemade bread, the cheese, all of that together, labor is an $18 sandwich.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
When you're just up there and you're like shredding or you're slicing the turkey in the mandolin and you're doing all the things
when
that
you're Mickey
Eddie
Rourke
sandwiches.
And the wrestler.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
and
cut your
that's
hand.
$18.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is also why I don't like the craft cocktail. My flavor palette is not deep enough in the spirit world, meaning alcohol. I'm very good at ghosts. I don't think that spirit world is I don't know if I'm being ripped off or not.
Okay.
I think that's
Fair.
the problem.
Yeah.
I
think this is the case in all. Like it's how do you walk into a dispensary and know whether or not you're being ripped off unless you really know about weed? How do you have to learn by doing. You have to like sample and learn and know like someone who really knows about weed is going to be able to walk into a dispensary and spot the jar that's $35 that's totally fucking worth it.
Mhm.
And they'll know that other jar that costs $50, even though it looks like it's, like more top shelf and shit, is absolutely not fucking worth it because of the grower and the strain and just what they know about it. And they can look at the lab results. Same deal. Like
Yeah.
you can walk into it, you can look at a sandwich menu and be like, that's not going to be worth $18 fucking dollars. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
So Jordan, we gave you our answer on books. If you have any recommendations for books to read about sandwiches or alcohol, please write us back.
Well, that kind of brings us to our buds of the week because
it does. Oh, I wanted to tie it to something else, but should we move on to buds of the week?
I think so.
Okay.
We're getting there.
All right.
Well, I was just going to say, because my bud of the week is a sandwich enthusiast and educator and informer, Barry Enderwick. Greatest follow on social media. I follow him on Instagram. He has an incredible account called Sandwiches of History, and he makes sandwiches from history, from old timey books, and he makes them exactly as the recipe calls for to start. And then he tastes it, and then he always pluses it up with one ingredient, and it's so fun. He's just like, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Bill Oakley in that same kind of vibe where he's just like an enthusiast, and that's all that matters, and that's why you're there. He's just so into the sandwiches and into the recipes, and he brings cool little tidbits of history, and he always tries to put it like in some kind of historical context, or if he's using an ingredient that like in 1912, like for instance, he was like, he just recently made a peanut butter sandwich, and he had gone to the store and he had ground his own peanuts, so it didn't have any preservatives in it or anything.
Sure.
He uses ingredients from around the world. I don't know. He's just great. And he makes a sandwich every single day.
Really?
I don't know where he gets the time, because I also know he works full time. I believe he's in the Bay Area. I would love to meet him. We follow each other on Instagram, and occasionally he'll like comment on one of my sandwiches, and I'm always just like, oh my God, he's a sandwich fucking celebrity. So Barry Enderwick, all the sandwich knowledge, all the sandwich recipes, follow at Sandwiches of History on Instagram. And also he has some other channels too. He's the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh, great. I've never seen a video. I'm very excited to add that to my algorithm.
The greatest. And then sometimes he'll like have a week where he needs to do other stuff. So he'll have guest people make sandwiches, and his guests are like legitimately famous, crazy, amazing guests. It's wild. Like the people who follow him, you're like, Mark Maron.
That's
oh my God, Mark Maron making us, or whoever it is. It's just great. Yeah. So
do you want to put it in the air for you to get the call one day?
Please God. Yes. This is a dream. Goals 2024. Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. My bud of the week this week is fellow friend and comedian Shane Torres. We met each other when I was headlining. We both headlined at Outside Lands. You and he and I, we all ran around grasslands and smoked weed and hung out. And he just came out with a new album called Blue-Eyed Mexican. And I watched it the other night, and it is so funny. It is so funny. It's also on Bert Kreischer's YouTube channel because he opens for Bert all over the world. And he just got passed as a regular at the Comedy Store. He lives in New York, but he's bouncing between here and there. And if you ever get to see him live, especially headlining himself, because I think, I'll say a couple things. I think that when you open for somebody like Bert Kreischer and you crush it, you hope that translates to your own career and your own headlining, but it doesn't always give you the boost that you deserve, I don't think, because it's like, oh, that one guy before Bert was so funny. Well, that guy before Bert is Shane freaking Torres.
Mm-hmm.
He has the best Guy Fieri joke I've ever heard. His new album, again, Blue-Eyed Mexican, is one of the best hours of the year, and it's only January. So go see him live. If somebody like Bert can co-sign him, then please support somebody like that, because he is just a great comic and he's a great dude, and nobody does it like him. Amazing.
What a great bud of the week. I can't wait to check that out. I've been watching specials because I finally caved and got Netflix. And so I've been watching a bunch of comedy specials. I'm excited to watch
Absolutely.
Where's his?
So it's on his YouTube
Yep.
at Shane Torres, and it's also on Bert Kreischer's YouTube.
Dope. Okay.
Yeah.
No reason to mention Netflix at all. Sorry about that.
Well, the thing is like, get enough views on it so that he can license it to Netflix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
And then because Bert and Bert's wife, Luann, I think her name's Luann or Leanne. I'm so sorry. I know we're coming for you, Bert. We're taking your number one spot. I'm not going to learn your wife's name. Yeah, that's better.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry. I love you, Bert. But the point is that I don't know if it came out of Shane's pocket to record it or it came out of Bert's pocket, but either way, make Netflix pay for it.
Yeah.
Get those guys their money back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry about that middle part.
Well, this was a rollicking good time with gifts and gab and weird, disgusting maggot content. And, I had a great time.
Yeah.
What else do we have before we go, Mike?
Maybe next week I can tie in this week's bad salmon to another thing on my TikTok algorithm, fish fraud.
Ooh.
Which is really, really going gangbusters right now in the food world. Fish fraud is on the rise, and we all need to look out for it.
Okay. I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, so maybe that'll be a bit of a what would that be called? Not a cliffhanger. What's a good weed word? Yeah, but in the weed world?
Oh, I was going to say in the fish world.
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, that's the end. Or as they say, Finn.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
Okay. That was good. Go see Mike at the Comedy Store, everyone. January 25th. He's going to be fucking pulling it out just like that.
Just like that.
And follow us at Weed and Grub on Instagram. Our TikTok that we post on sometimes is Mike and Mary Jane. We've gotten some followers on there. We're like at 1,000.
100%.
Email us at wg@weedandgrub.com. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much, everyone who reaches out to us. DM us, just like we love that you fuck with us, and we are always here to keep a safe space for us and for you. So we're super grateful.
100%. Check out the Wellness Center.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.